Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 589. I have my wrist braces stuck together. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Claire Taylor, former co-host of the Sell More Book Show, superstar at Enneagram, her own What If podcast, her incredible characters Kickstarter, so many cool things. Claire, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for the introduction or reintroduction, perhaps.
Reintroduction. If you forgot about Claire, this is who she is. This is who she is.
Don't forget about me.
Don't you? We just got fined.
And
So
we're sued.
yeah, I know. So Claire, I was really excited for two reasons. For you to reach out to me saying, "Hey, any space coming up on the show lately?" Because one, I had not had anyone ready to come in and do these next 2 weeks, so I was scrambling. And two, I've just been hearing so many awesome things about your new Kickstarter. And I know you absolutely wanted to tell everyone about it. And that's not the only reason you're doing this. But Claire, how does one use the Enneagram to write iconic characters?
Wow. What a crazy question for you to ask right now, today.
On this day, yes.
Well, it's all about getting to know your characters deeply beneath the sort of traits that they have, the skills, the strengths, all these things at that very deep level of what motivates them. And that's important because when we talk about motivation, we're talking about moving. And sometimes the hardest part of writing a story is just moving your character. Physically, yes. How do I get them to this next scene? But also, how do I move them coherently, emotionally, and intellectually to where I need them to be? And so that's where the motivation comes in. And the Enneagram is a framework of 9 core motivations and how they show up. And so that's why it's really useful for writing characters, because if you're stuck, if you don't know where this protagonist is going, which sometimes happens, guilty over here, you can get yourself back on track really quickly, and you can create something that's recognizable intuitively to the readers. Everyone knows someone of each of the 9 types, right? And so it's like, oh, I recognize this, but it's new and different. And that's what creates something iconic, something that people can really hold on to and understand.
And it's kind of like, as you've taught me so much about the Enneagram over the years, and as even since the show, like I've asked you, hey, Claire, this coaching student has this interesting collection of character traits. What do I do with them? You've got like the 9 core types. You've got people who have maybe a wing of some other type. And so really it's like, there are not like 9 different kinds of characters. There are like all these kind of subtypes, and I've taken, I've shared with some of my coaching students some of the really beefy like IEQ9 Enneagram crazy test that shows all of these different subtypes for each type. And so like it's a rabbit hole. It's definitely a fun one. It's like, do you think that people like what place in a story are people getting stuck at that this will help them with the most, do you think?
Oh, I have helped authors with this tool throughout the entire process. Even just brainstorming, just that first spark. Because sometimes you have an idea for a story, but it's more about like a concept or the world you want to build. And you're like, well, who goes in it? Right. And so even at that early stage of brainstorming, understanding the Enneagram and like, okay, well, what is really the conflict of this world? What's really happening here? And which type is going to resonate very strongly with that? You can start at that very first spark of getting that story formed. You can also do it in revisions. It can be really useful. So like you said, you can go down the rabbit hole, but it's also almost immediately accessible if you just learn the 9 types. That's going to get you really far.
Right.
Just understanding those, because then you can be like, oh, I do know this character's this type. Okay, let me just go check back in with this, description and some of the things that tend to arise from it, and see if something sort of shakes loose in my head. And oh yes, of course they're going to make this decision, not this other decision. So like I've used it to unblock, when you get to the climax and you're like, wow, this just is not hitting the way I had
Mm-hmm.
wanted it to. What's wrong here? So you can use it for troubleshooting, that sort of thing. Usually your protagonist and your antagonist aren't at odds enough, or they're not having that nice confrontation around a theme, and that all involves the motivation. It's like that you can't get them to do something because they're not motivated to do it, and a part of you knows that, and
Yeah.
you're like forcing it, and it's just, yeah,
And
it
that's
can
where
be
all
a
those
little bit
plot
mind melting.
contrivances come from, where you have to make someone
Right.
act stupid in order to move things along.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just season 7 of Game of Thrones.
I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones clips and on YouTube, and the comments are just so funny with anything from season 7 and 8. They're like, Varys would never do this because
Yeah.
he's an idiot in season 8, and just like all that kind of thing. It's great.
Yes. Yeah. So what we don't want is to take iconic characters and not know them well enough that we end up having to force some things and you get your whole fandom upset with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Well, we're going to talk more about characters. We're going to talk more about your Kickstarter. I know you've got to have some kind of great short link, ffs.media/something or other. What's the place where people can go to take a look at the right iconic characters Kickstarter?
Well, since we last talked, I've shifted from ffs.media over to
Oh,
liberatedwriter.com
right.
mostly.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, big changes.
No
New,
dot pizza.
new,
No dot pizza.
it was taken, oddly enough.
Ah,
Um, and so if you go to liberatedwriter.com/Kickstarter, that will take you to
okay.
the Kickstarter.
Wonderful. Liberated writer dot, if I can write, liberated water. Liberatedwriter.com/Kickstarter. Beautiful. Go check that out, everybody. This Kickstarter funded in 14 minutes. While I was sitting here, you went from 244 backers to 245 backers. So I'm watching
Ooh.
this live. People are funding this. It's a beautiful thing. So
Treat it like a sport.
I will treat it like backgammon. So, okay. I wanted to look at a couple of the questions of the week from the last couple of weeks. We had an amazing top 10 New York Times bestselling author here 2 weeks ago. And as a result, we asked, what would you do and how would you celebrate if you hit the top 10 on the New York Times bestseller list? Raylan Rose said, I would go on my first ever vacation, the kind that didn't consist of visiting family, funerals, or all the other reasons I ever go out of town. Raylan, go on a vacation, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously. You've earned it at this point. Kelly Renee said, plan a party with all my author friends. Very nice. And Shelley Dawn Sidal said, buy time on a billboard in Times Square with an image of my book, and the bestseller receipts in massive font would be written, in your face, 1-star reviewers. I may be a teensy bit bitter, she says. Love it. Claire, how would you celebrate?
I would go to a really nice dinner with my husband.
Oh.
That's usually how I like to celebrate, with something delicious, a little low key, a little
Mm-hmm.
bougie,
Oh, yeah, of
and
course.
always gluten free.
Always. Oh, we do not want the rage. We do not want
We
the
don't need.
bloodlust. No, we don't want any of that. I love that.
What
And
about you, Brian? Have you already shared this, how you would celebrate?
I don't think I have. And there's nothing more bougie than the New York Times bestseller list. So, I mean,
Yeah, no,
having bougie food would make total sense.
yeah. This is not the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. This is New
No,
York
no. Yeah,
Times.
this is the New York Times. The paper is made out of cloth. No, look, so if I hit the top 10 in the New York Times bestseller list, I would celebrate with a big online party for sure, because I love sharing those kind of things with the people who actually made it happen. But I would
Mhm.
also do the food, lots of food
Yeah.
thing, definitely
Yeah.
food. Um, but y'all, you remember
That's
you can answer the
mhm.
question of the week at sellmorebookshow.com or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. I cut you off, Claire. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that's really smart that you also celebrate with the fans. I would have that thought like a month later.
Oh yeah, you guys exist, the little people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just
I would have
it's
that accent and everything. It would be
I know.
strange.
You'd change into that accent after you've hit the New York Times bestseller list. Like, oh, hello everybody. Um, awesome. Uh, are you ready for a story?
I'm always ready for a story.
Well, let's do the top story of the week. So, top story of the week is you thought you knew Kickstarter. If you think Kickstarters are just for crowdfunding crazy tech products or best-selling high fantasy novelists, think again. Say the folks at Written Word Media. Recently, they interviewed Russell Nolte, doing a deep dive into Kickstarters to sell books, a strategy that can be lucrative, but also a bit misunderstood. One way to think of it is as direct sales light. You, the author, manage the customer relationship, but the platform Kickstarter helps by providing visibility, trust, and even the technical aspects of making the sale and accepting payments. But because of the nature of Kickstarter, it's also more than simply direct sales. Quote, it is a time-limited campaign, so it has a natural endpoint, low risk, high reward, says Nolte. You can cancel anytime if it's not going how you'd hoped, end quote. In addition, you tend to get higher returns per buyer than you would on Amazon or other stores, with the average Kickstarter pledge being $25 versus $7 on Amazon. Finally, you keep about 90% of the money that you take in, not the 70% or less that you get with most online stores. If you're worried that using Kickstarter on a book launch might not be for you, Russell shares some popular options like publishing an anniversary edition of a previously published book, extra content, bonuses like a map or artwork. Quote, the book is already done and loved, making this a low stress entry point, end quote. Other options are using Kickstarter to relaunch a book your readers love but didn't quite get the traction it deserved, taking advantage of your greater reach or larger fan base to put out a box set, special edition, or merch, because this can be a great way to repurpose existing content and find new readers at the same time. Remember, Kickstarters don't have to be fancy to succeed. Start simple, says Nolte. You don't need sprayed edges and a $200 book box. A solid ebook and paperback offering can do wonders. At its core, crowdfunding is a form of direct sales. You're not just publishing a book, you are rallying a community to bring it to life. Claire, did you read this article and then start a Kickstarter? I mean, what were your thoughts on, like, I don't think there's anything necessarily groundbreaking in this other than people may not realize, yes, you can use it to launch a new book. Yes, you can use it to bring back an old book. Yes, you can do it to take an old book and turn it into something different. Um, in your case, you're doing it to launch something new. Why did you go with Kickstarter?
Went with Kickstarter because I just enjoy it. I enjoy kind of the sport of it. That's
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost for me.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, okay, I'm going to put another thing up on, the retailer, normal retailers that you're used to seeing, and I'm going to run some ads to it. I just wanted something a little bit more fun. I also have a lot of courses that I offer with the book that
Yep.
build on it. So I think if you have something that builds in that way, it's just a really easy way, a lot of the times we're talking about sales funnels. You get them
Mm-hmm.
here and then you get them here. And sometimes, from one step to the next, you lose people. But it's like, hey, it's all right here. Do you want it? How much do you want? So
Yeah.
you can kind of move them through that whole sales funnel at once. But really, I think it's just such a good tool for us to start thinking outside of the usual process for launching a
Yes.
book. And for a lot of authors, you don't want to go necessarily into credit card debt because you have to take on that expense. If you're publishing independently, you have to take on the expense first and then try and earn it back. And so this
Mm-hmm.
is a way that you can avoid doing that, where you can get the money up front. Or if
Right.
you don't get the money up front, you don't do it. So you can gauge the interest. There's just so many ways that you can use as a tool. And I love what Russell's saying in this, because it's really like, hey, there's no one way to do it. You can use it for anything. If you're like,
Yeah.
you know, just saying, sometimes people are out there like, I need $5,000 next month or something. This is a way to use your assets that you've already created. It's really easy to for us to get focused on the new shiny thing in our business and forget that we created all those other books, or we have all
Right.
those other products. Right. And so you can give them a new life. And it's like, you might as well, you've already put in the effort to make it. Right.
Are there certain Enneagram types that are best suited to run a Kickstarter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I just
Yeah,
thought
you're
I'd
going to do
ask.
it differently. But
Sure,
I
sure,
mean,
sure.
it's a great question, Brian.
Yeah.
But the approach is going to be different and what you use it for. So, maybe if you are, a 7, which is the enthusiast, is really
Mm-hmm.
motivated by the new and novel. This could be something to play around with if you're feeling bored with your usual publishing process, right? So that could be kind of the strategy for you behind it, is like, let me try something new that's still generating money, that's not getting me off track with what I was already planning on doing exactly, right? It's not, and just test something out.
Yeah.
Or get you excited about a series that you're like, oh, I got to write book 5 in this series and I've already mentally moved on. Well, maybe you launch it on Kickstarter and you can sort of get back into that excitement and freshness with it. So yeah, there's a different approach for different types, but I've seen all types enjoy it and be successful.
Love it. Let's get a hot potato wisdom question in here. We're a little bit improvised today because Brian was busy, but
A little.
a little bit. So, Claire, what has how has your process changed? Like, you and I did a Kickstarter together back in the day. Don't look it up, guys. But how has your process changed from the first Kickstarter you ever did to the one you're doing now?
It has changed pretty significantly. What
Okay.
I noticed, and this is my own sort of anxiety pattern, is when I'm not sure about something, I do too much. I
Yep.
do too
Yep.
much. And I
Yep.
did so much for that first one and didn't
Mm-hmm.
expect anything. And, a lot of it was like, it's the first one. I'm gathering data. So I'm going to do all the things and see what works.
Mm-hmm.
And then over, this is now my 4th Kickstarter that I've run. Over that process, I'm like, oh yeah, not only is that not effective, I don't really enjoy it. that's
Right.
a huge drain, and I'm not about that life right now. So I have done a lot less for this Kickstarter.
Nice.
And yeah, it is. It's very nice. There's this kind of sense that oh, it's going to be, you're going to launch it and then it's going to be just all that all the time. There's so much to do. And I emailed my list about this yesterday, but sometimes it feels like watching the pot boil is actually a necessary ingredient in it boiling. And we
Mm.
get really hooked into that.
Yeah.
But it's not a fun experience when you think about watching the pot boil, right? It's
No.
anticipation, yes, but it's like you get impatient. You have all kinds of, thought patterns come up. You have emotions that just get kind of stuck because you're not actually doing an action that's meaningful. So I had noticed that with my previous Kickstarters that I would be watching it, right?
Yeah.
As if that did anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time around, I launched it. It funded. So there was a little initial letting people know it was out there and hey, it funded. And I posted a couple graphics and that was like an hour. And then I was like, oh, my day is maybe I should do something else. That's
Mm-hmm.
not this.
Yeah.
And so I didn't watch the pot. I went and threw pots at the pottery studio.
Yeah, you
So that
literally did something with pots. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was really, I found that really nice because when I'm at the studio, one of my favorite things is you go for hours and your hands are too covered in clay to be able to look at your phone. And so you are
Mm-hmm.
forced to just be with the clay. And if you're not with the clay, it'll tell you.
The
It'll
clay, the
flop.
clay will let you know.
Yes. So I did that this time and it was really nice. And my lunch day, I wasn't upset about how it went. It went really well. And I didn't waste my time just confusing anxiety with action. So that was a nice little thing that I've learned the hard way over the Kickstarters, and I think I'm gonna continue with it.
Yeah. I think the slow Potter way is the Potter's way might be the path. Might be the right path.
Yes.
So I know we're improvised here. Do you have a question you can hot potato my way?
Sure. Brian, how would you maybe use ads to support something like a Kickstarter?
Ads in Kickstarter are super interesting. There are companies that will actually charge you a percentage of what you fund on Kickstarter for them to advertise the Kickstarter.
Wow.
This is often like we had Matt Dinneman on the show of Dungeon Crawler Carl, and he used a company to help him fund his several $100,000 Kickstarter campaign. But he's a big brand. It's lit, not lit RPG, but it's wacky, crazy sci-fi fantasy comedy. However you'd describe him. Yes, there's lit RPG, and it's crazy, but like, he has that big brand, so it makes sense for him to do something like that. For most of the rest of the author world, you could run ads to your own existing list to make sure they're seeing it. I did this all the time with the Amazon ads and the email marketing Kickstarter, just to make sure everybody who could see it would see it. And I think that I pushed it harder the second Kickstarter, and that did help the second Kickstarter to perform better than the first. And so I do think ads can absolutely be a part of it. But if you're thinking, oh, at some point down the line, I might do a Kickstarter, think about what you can do, advertising or otherwise, to build up your email list. That is the most important thing.
Definitely. I've seen that to bear out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The bears are out. So, Claire,
Bear out.
Bear out. Hey, I was safe. So, you're blind. Anywho.
I like your bear voice, Brian.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. So we need to move into the lightning round, the fully improvised lightning round, with Roland's help, of course, because he did the show. I was just too lazy to edit it together. So, Claire, we need a lightningy, thundery sound from you.
Thunder, lightning.
It wouldn't have been good unless you'd said thunder and lightning at the end. But because of that, it was great.
That's the closed captions.
I always watch Netflix that way. So, okay. Claire, what do you think the differences are between a Kickstarter for fiction and for nonfiction?
Oh, yeah. Difference is people are coming to your nonfiction Kickstarter from a business perspective. They tend to be willing to spend a little bit more because it feels more like an investment, is my take on it. Whereas the fiction, it's just fandoms, and they may be very obsessed. And you're going to have a few fans who will come out of the woodwork and spend good money. So make sure you give them those options. But it's going to be a little bit lower, it has been my finding. Of course, I don't have that much data, but I would say that just, temper your expectations a little bit, and notice that people may be coming with different intentions behind their spending. And so don't take it personally.
Yeah. Either way, get your follower count up ahead of time, because that doesn't hurt. The fiction or not, there's similarities too, and that is one of them. Like, get as many people to the preview page as possible. Get those followers early.
All right, Brian, what would you say to someone who says that Kickstarter is just too much work for them?
I would say you're probably right. I think Kickstarter is a ton of work. And every time I've done a Kickstarter since I've had more of a business together, I've gotten help. And sometimes that help was good, and sometimes that help was counterproductive. Getting help on the fulfillment side is huge. But let's go back to the people who, I can't afford help. So if you have a chance to make $50 next month or $700, what are you going to choose? Are you going to work hard either way? Chances are you're working really hard for the $50 you're making from your books. But if you could change it to be working hard for $700, would you take that? And if the answer is yes, then a Kickstarter can help you get that $700. Is it a guarantee? Of course not. Nothing is a guarantee. But if you are already working really, really hard for your $50, work really, really hard for your $700 and use that as a jumping off point to the next dollar amount, because you are in this situation where everybody is working hard. And you can look at one thing or another and say, well, that looks hard. It's like, what you're doing is already hard. So you might as well do hard work that is going to make you more money without it being selling out. And Kickstarter is not selling out. Everybody is doing it. And people with big money are using Kickstarters to make even more big money. So go do a Kickstarter if you've been thinking about it, because it can definitely make it so your hard work is more rewarded.
Love that.
Thanks. Oh, shucks. Thanks. Okay. So, Claire, when you have been doing non-writing things, you've made it a point to have dogs in your life always.
Yes.
What, like, as you get a new dog in your life, and look, we have dogs come, we have dogs go, we want to keep having those amazing animals in our lives. When you are integrating a new animal into your life, how do you keep your regular writing and book marketing stuff going without it just being this whole like, oh no, I am a full-time dog caretaker now?
Yeah. Well, you don't really keep it going exactly the same, Brian.
Okay, tell me
At
about
least
that.
that has not been my approach. So, yes, I got 2 dogs very shortly, one after the other in February, and they're young. And before, I had old dogs, and old dogs will just lay around all day. They're
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. And young dogs have a lot of demands. And so I can't control the dogs.
Right.
I mean, I have them under control, but I can't control their needs. And so my option was to feel frustration in that relationship with those dogs, which they pick up on. They pick up on the frustration
Oh yeah.
and annoyance. Or prioritize building a strong foundation of a relationship with them and giving them what they need and just trying to get done as much as I can in the meantime when they're sleeping or when
Yeah.
they're relaxed. And so I've had to make those adjustments. But for me, it was all about looking at what is life actually about? Because when you get dogs, you realize that they're just these little beings that help us stay present and
Mm-hmm.
remind us what actually matters in life. And so for me to meet that with, I'm gonna bring this dog into my home, and then I'm gonna be frustrated all the time. That wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
how I wanted to go. So it's really forced me to let go, and I do what I can. And nothing bad has happened as a result of doing a little bit less. I've taken on less, but I'm much happier because I'm moving around with the dogs. So I think really just learning what gifts you're getting with what you give up with your work, and make sure that you're not getting a dog right in the middle of like a work fest.
Mm-hmm. I thought of a story that in college when I was studying theater, there was this directing teacher who had directed um, many, many plays, including in the 70s. He was directing Christopher Walken in a play, and he found he had to direct the play around the very high Christopher Walken. So all the things in the play, like where he had to pick up props, what he had to do with things, he was directing the play around Mr. Walken rather than trying to get Mr. Walken to do anything. And I think of that very much being similar to having these
Mhm.
dogs.
Yeah, they are a high Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay. It's okay. They're dogs. What do I expect? So when I realized I had the choice between frustration or acceptance, I chose acceptance
Mm-hmm.
and made accommodations.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. You got a question for me, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. I've been waiting. I've been I've been sitting here waiting. Just when do I get to ask this question? Um, how do you deal with a major upheaval when you're trying to run your business and it's unexpected? Dogs you expect, you get to choose it, but maybe moving to a different house suddenly is not expected. So what are some of your tips for
So
anyone who experiences that?
I'm fortunate that I have a team behind me. I have people. Not everybody would have people or a team behind them, so that would be really difficult. Everyone, on my team has been really great, and if you have even one member of your team, like a virtual assistant, and you have something like an upheaval happen, it's okay to ask them for extra help. You're allowed to ask for help. Ask for help. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is, if you whether you have a team or not, probably whether or not you've implemented the 80-20 rule, 20% of what you're doing is bringing in 80% of the results. Just focus on that. Focus on your 20, on the 20 that actually matters for you and your bottom line. Everything else will eventually get dealt with, or it won't, and it won't matter. So just get your 20% done. The rest is going to take care of itself.
Yeah, and don't you hate that when it's exposed that the 80% you've been doing was not needed?
It just didn't matter. It just didn't
Yes.
matter at all. Yes, it's super
Mm-hmm.
annoying. But,
Yeah.
I'll live. I'll live.
Yeah, so far so good.
So far, so good. Claire, um, what do you think is the biggest thing missing from, and this is closing out our lightning round, the biggest thing missing from most authors' characters that they write?
A deep understanding of the core fear of the character. I
Mm,
think a lot of authors, they know a lot of things about the character. They know their skills, they know their talents, they know where they're coming from, but they don't necessarily know, is this person more afraid of being harmed or controlled, or are they more afraid of lacking value and being
yeah,
worthless? Right. And that's really what's going to inform the character, because those two motivations are going to respond very differently, those two core fears. And so I think that if you can pin down the core fear, and don't worry, y'all, if you've already started writing the character, if a few books in, you probably 80% of it probably can connect back to one core fear, because you were probably doing that just intuitively. So it's not a big deal. You can course correct without rewriting all the books, thank goodness.
yeah,
um, but just really understanding, well, what it really is it, because they're that's how you trigger them.
right.
We have the honor as authors to manipulate our characters and to create the worst possible environment for them. And so you need to know what that is, so that you can have them overcome it.
That makes total sense, and I'm very glad that your wonderful resource of the Liberated is liberatedwriter.com/Kickstarter.
Yes.
They can
Good
go
job.
check it out. They can write iconic characters. It'll be a beautiful thing. Um, we need a question of the week, former co-host Claire. What
Mhm.
do you want to ask our peoples today?
I want to absolutely 100% co-opt this for my own purposes,
Love it.
and ask people, who is the most iconic character that you can think of? Don't do your own. We're not doing that. I want to
Yeah,
know, who is the most iconic character you can think of, and what do you think makes them iconic?
you can think of. And what do you think makes them iconic? Great question, y'all. You can answer the question of the week over at sellmorebookshow.com or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Go support Claire's Kickstarter because you like her or because you write books. Either way. And if both, I mean, you've got double the reasons.
You could have any motivation, honestly. Yeah, it could
Mm-hmm.
be a, impure motivation.
One of
That's okay.
9 different core motivations for buying Claire's book.
Plus 1 bonus evil motivation.
Ooh,
That's
I'm so
sneaking there.
excited for the bonus evil motivation. You only get that if you're going to get to 30,000. That's the
right. Yeah, that's the stretch goal. I'll tell you about the motivation to be able to steeple your fingers like a villain. That's the motivation. Stroke a pet cat.
Ooh,
just menacingly. That's the
exactly.
motivation.
I love it. I love it. Well, go check out Claire's Kickstarter, liberatedwriter.com/Kickstarter. It's been a delight getting to host you, Claire, and we get to do this again in another whole week.
Yay!
I'm excited.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
You're very welcome. We all miss you on the show, and I'm glad you were able to spend some time with us this week.
It's good to be back.
Yay. Cool. Folks, we will be back because I could be flooded away and still do this show. It's been proven. So for Claire, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we will be back for episode 590. Bye.
Bye.